Hi everyone, my name is Michael Ryan and I'm here to welcome you to my first podcast on economic concepts as compared to financial literacy. This is all a part about thinking critical and reaching the knowledge that we need to know. This first topic is going to be about marginal cost and how economists miss the boat a little bit and lead you to believe certain things that aren't quite right. We're going to talk about some models and some framing and how distorting frames leads to misconceptions by students and etc. Welcome to Marginal Cost, Critical Thoughts to Equip the Student, Part 1. We're going to be talking about a break-even analysis from a financial literacy class. We're going to talk about the use of framing and how framing affects your perception and your belief. And then we're going to talk about secrets from academia. So getting started, this is a break-even model from a financial literacy class. It's got your price, which is here, and it's variable cost plus markup are 15 bucks. So each of these columns have a role. Quantity is just that. I'm making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items. I've got a fixed cost, which in this case is 50 bucks, and this is 50 bucks per an accounting period or a production cycle. There's a time window assumed in a break-even model. There's a variable cost per unit. In this case, we could be selling lemonade, and it costs $50 to make the batch of lemonade. And we're selling commemorative glasses that cost us $5 each. So we have a total variable cost, which is dependent upon how many items we sell. And then we have a total cost, which is the sum of fixed cost and total variable cost. And then this average total cost is watched closely, because as soon as your average total cost reaches your price, you're breaking even. And revenue, of course, any businessman wants to track his revenue, and then profit. So some important things here is fixed costs and variable costs comes from your accounting department. It's not made up, it's real. If that number's not right, you're not going to be able to run your business properly. And the good thing here is, using this model, students determine minimum quantity must be sold to assure profitable business. The more they sell, the more profits they make. The result is smart students, and that's what we want. Now, let's talk about the frame. What we've just seen is a break-even model for financial literacy, and it's a mathematical model. In this case, we've reduced it. There are basically 5 columns we're going to focus on: quantity, fixed cost, variable cost per unit, total variable cost, and just total cost. Now, this model is good for a given accounting period, because from the accounting period, you establish your fixed cost. For example, if it's a monthly period, you might put rent down as a fixed cost. Now, the economics world takes this exact same frame, and they change it slightly. It's all about cost, but they now have something called marginal cost per unit and variable cost. Very similar, but a little bit different. If we look a little closer at the two models with data actually provided, we've got variable cost, total variable cost, marginal cost per unit, and variable cost per unit. So again, the two key differences are variable cost per unit has been replaced by marginal cost per unit, and total variable cost is now called variable cost. But before we go any further, let's look at this. If you look at this item here, total variable cost, this is the sum of all of these items: 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 bucks. So as I produce more, my total variable cost is the sum of all of these things. Well, that is what is exactly happening over here. If I look at variable cost, this is the sum of the previous column. So 30, 50, 70, 90, $1.10, that all adds up to $3.50. So the mathematics in these models are exactly the same. But let's talk about how an economist describes marginal cost per unit. This is their definition from their book. It's the additional cost incurred for producing one extra unit. And they give you some interesting mathematics to find out what that is. So marginal cost is equal to total cost minus total cost from previous. So for example, this 70 cents right here comes from the difference between $4.50 and $3.80. So the peculiar part about the economist view is they don't tell you what is driving your marginal cost. Okay, So let's take a look at an accountant. An accountant says variable cost per unit is the production cost of each unit produced. Now that makes sense. And we even use the exact same mathematics to get the number. Variable cost is total cost minus total cost from previous. So for example, this guy right here, $5. It's driven by 75 minus 70. And you get the number, but it is back-asswards from anybody else calculating this number. Everybody knows that production cost drives my cost per unit. But for some reason, the economist is trying to hide that factor from us. So they're the same. And the economist is confusing the public. Their main goal is to create a new term that allows economists to make up data for that term. So let's talk about making up data. If you look, variable cost in an economics class goes up like crazy. Okay? It's going up very, very fast. Marginal cost is increasing all the time. In real life, variable costs never grow in this fashion. This data represents an imaginary condition obtained by setting the deck. So remember that old frame concept. If I've got a deck of cards, I'm expecting 52 cards, 4 suits, 13 cards, and a very remote chance of getting a full house. But if someone sets the deck, they're going to get a full house. And we don't want to play poker with anybody that's setting the deck. So that brings us to the result is confused and ignorant students. They need to understand financial literacy. They don't need to understand marginal cost in an economics class. But why? Why does an economist do this? Okay, let's explore both of these two models a little bit further using graphics. Graphics are fun, can be intimidating for some people. But for example, this is what the financial literacy model looks like when you put it in a graph. You got average total cost getting less and less and less as you sell more and more units. You've got a break-even point right here. And once you're selling above that, this green area is exposed, and this is your profits based upon this volume right here. And this is your total variable cost. It's just quantity times cost for total variable cost. And the key thing here is variable costs from an accounting period are constant. Manufacturers buy supplies in bulk. The expense of supply purchase is allocated by the accounting department at an average cost per unit. Good old cost accounting. So, as an example, if I'm building 1,000 cars, I'm going to go buy 4,000 tires. The cost of each tire is the average cost of that bulk acquisition. It doesn't increase each tire that goes out the door. It just doesn't do that. So, in an economics class, instead of having a flat variable cost like this line right here, they've got their marginal cost going at a perfect linear slope. And they're telling you that this is the firm supply curve. The firm supply curve is this line going up. So the only reason they do that is economists must have increasing costs in order to justify their belief in an upward sloping supply curve. This has never been seen in any real business. It just doesn't happen. So some observations from this little short ditty. Number one, fabricated data. The economists are making up the data for their models. Two, distorted frame. They're ignoring the accounting period. They don't even recognize that there is a frame at all with these pictures. They use the concepts of inflation and scarcity to justify an increase in cost model. This is incorrect. The effects of inflation and scarcity do not affect costs during a product cycle or an accounting period. Think of it. I'm going to go out and buy my 4,000 tires. That sets my cost for that production period. It's flat. Now the next month or year, I may have to go out and buy tires at a higher cost, but it's still a flat production curve and a break-even model. So the conclusion is economic science is supply and demand curves. It's not a science. They're not based upon observations. It's an imaginary illusion that confuses our students and wastes their time. Society would be better off teaching financial literacy instead of an economics course. So some secrets from academia. Number one, the authors of these theories and the textbooks, they know about these problems. They know these models are questionable. And if you compare the textbooks from the 60s and the textbooks that are out there today, you can actually see how they've tried to change some of the models in order to cover up their failures. So stay tuned. Marginal cost part 2, critical thoughts for the inquisitive student, will cover marginal cost, comparing models from the 60s and models today. So thanks for listening. Be critical out there. Find the knowledge you need to run your life. I'm Michael Ryan, author, The Truth About Economics, critical thinking guide for students, parents, teachers, and citizens. We all need to go out there and clamor for change. Thanks. Bye.